Hello, I'm Malcolm Haslett. As we commence a new year, what should we do to move on from a difficult 2020 up? Oh, and to keep healthy and lose the summer kilos with a healthy diet and lifestyle. One of our favourite people, Kimberly Douglas, returns with good news about that and much more next on OurTime. And welcome to OurTime. It's been a long time since we've had Kimberly Douglas on this program, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you back. Where have you been?
In isolation.
Have you now?
For some of the time, like everybody else.
Yes, like everybody else. Both here in South Australia and in Victoria, where we also go. We've had the lucky end of the straw.
We have.
We really have. But I don't know about you, but lockdown for us here in South Australia was great. I had long service leave. I've instituted long service leave. God, I can't even talk properly anymore because of it. But I found it was great because it gave me time to catch up with myself.
I completely agree. And I think that a lot of people were a bit like a hamster getting off the hamster wheel, that it was this quiet relief of, I have to stay home. I can't do the 5 sports and the music lessons and the drive to craziness and the parties. And
well, the kids didn't really want to do the Zoom thing either because I still teach acting. And a lot of the kids basically said, it's really hard with school, it's really hard with this because, we're looking at a screen, but then we think, a drink would be nice, I'll just go and get one. And because you're home, you do what you do at home. But it must have affected everybody in this way because there was food available 24 hours a day in the fridge, or not, if you couldn't get out to buy.
Well, we're calling it the COVID curls and the COVID kilos because that's exactly what's happened. So I've seen, it's really interesting. And as I said, in South Australia, we really haven't had it like the eastern states. But yes, the weight gain, most people are saying on average 3 to 4 kilo over that sort of March to about now has just crept on. Now, part of that is more access. You're a bit bored. You don't have the usual commutes. You're not walking to your car. No. You're not doing those usual things where you at least burn a few calories.
Bed to the couch to the toilet, couch to the kitchen.
I think I'll have another coffee. Shall I have another coffee when I normally wouldn't have a coffee?
And a biscuit with the coffee.
And a biscuit with the coffee. The interesting thing was the amount of people that took up baking. I don't know if
amazing.
It's incredible. I know. In that time I planted a veggie patch. So I went the right way. And so we now have lots of organic fruit and vegetable and it's great.
But what did you feed the organic vegetables with?
No. That was good. They've got plenty of good soil and
good.
things like that.
We should just explain for those people who came in late who you are.
Right, I'm a nutritionist. So I'm in private practice and specialise in all sorts of diseases and illnesses and lifestyle-related diseases.
Because is it fair to say that most things that go wrong with us are because we're eating the wrong food?
Sure, you are what you eat.
Yes.
There are so many lifestyle diseases.
I must eat the right food because I'm gorgeous.
Yes, well, we know the link.
Where was the yes, I know, yes, you are.
That's our consult later. But we know things like your diabetes, your heart disease, even links through to strokes and things like that, kidney disease, all related back to what you eat. And so, I think we've done a lot. Very true. And that was the other thing during COVID. We not only had people baking more, eating more, comfort eating, we had alcohol consumption just go through the roof. And I think most people were thinking when they would normally drink on our Friday, Saturday, Sunday, happy hour started on a Monday at 4 o'clock as well.
Or before.
The winter months. Something we're sort of bouncing around, but something I've seen in the practice is that our vitamin D levels this year have been horrendous in our pathology testing.
Because we never got outside enough?
Because in those first few months of the year, when normally we'd be in parks and in beaches and be out, we were already getting rattled. People were already staying home more, becoming more suspicious. By March, we were pretty well gone. And in those first few months where people would load up vitamin D, get their fill to get ready for the winter months, May, June, July, August, That's when everyone typically goes down with vitamin D. So we know when your D level goes down, you're going to gain weight, you're going to get more depression. Remember, we call it seasonal affective disorder, SAD. You're going to get SAD because your D level's gone down.
I've never heard that acronym before, but
Absolutely.
doesn't that describe it brilliantly?
Yeah, doom and gloom, and the world, everyone's grumpy, and it's because their D's gone down. So we naturally go through this rhythm, and then we pick it back up. These kind of months, we're out in sunshine, parks, beach. But we're seeing some states, obviously Victoria and New South Wales, that are only just starting to be let out. So we're going to find that probably this summer we don't refill. We're going to have lots more issues next year. We'll see mental health issues and things like
Right,
that.
so really we need to clock in time or make time to get some raise.
Sure.
So what's the best way? Because, of course, all the education is don't go out in the sun, don't get burnt, don't. And I know for myself, I need to get 20 minutes of sunshine
Absolutely.
at least once a week, but I do it carefully. I rotate my body.
Excellent.
Listen to the phone and, timer on the phone.
And do you go outside in a full suit while you do that, or you've got your swimmers on and skin?
No,
right.
I don't
okay.
do that either.
Right.
I have a little sun deck at home that no one can see.
Okay, fantastic. No more details. Okay. So, but that's the thing.
Don't fly over my place.
Well, most of your D comes through your eyeballs. So,
is that so?
So it's great that you're doing the skin exposure, but you also need to make sure that you're getting the rays, the UV rays, when they're the highest in the sky, between 10 and 2, on the back of your retina. And so I'm not saying on a 45-degree day you go and stand outside and stare at the sun.
And go blind.
And then I've got more lawsuits, to worry about. No, let's not do that. But, I'm sort of saying 10 minutes a day.
No, I never knew that. So is that take the sunnies off?
Take the sunnies off, because if you go outside and you're not getting much on your skin but you've got your sunglasses on, you really won't make a significant difference. So when we talk about vitamin D, we're looking at it depends on what your levels are in your blood. We aim for your blood level to be at 100. So if you take a supplement of D, they only come in 1,000 IU. So that will only raise you about 20 to 25 points. So if you have a blood test and it shows you're at 20 or 30, just getting a bit of sun every day will raise you about 20 points, and taking 1,000 IU will raise you about 20 points. You're not going to get close to that 100, which is the therapeutic level in your blood.
Yes.
So this is where you've got to get a bit of sunshine, bit of lifestyle balance, get your cup of tea on your lunch break, some sunshine, some fresh air, have a break emotionally, and then go back to the laptop. You've done and loaded some D. But then you need to also look at, maybe supplementing as well if you're someone that gets this seasonal affective disorder, SAD in winter.
I never knew that about the eyes. I always thought it was about the skin.
Yeah, definitely skin, but eyes more importantly. So no sunnies.
Right. Amazing. So it's now February and it's a new year, and we're all hoping that the coronavirus will just disappear.
Yes.
Clearly it's not going to that quickly, but what can we do? Is it about being healthy? Is it just with the coronavirus, people are saying, well, I'm healthy and, it's not going to affect me. And some people have obviously died with this, and some people have got through it and seen the other side. We don't know the long-term effects of both society or bodies with any of this. But surely we all as human beings should be trying to be as fit and healthy.
Completely agree. Let's not sit and wait to just run the gauntlet. And am I going to be one of these people that get it and am very sick, or someone who's asymptomatic? There are plenty of studies that you can look at that's showing keeping your vitamin C, keeping your zinc and your vitamin D levels up over 100 is a great thing to do for immune response.
Right.
So we are seeing some studies just start trickling through that people that were most affected had appalling levels of things like zinc and vitamin
Right.
D.
So it makes you wonder that, doesn't it?
Correct.
Yes.
So when they say had no pre-existing, or when they said they were perfectly healthy, in a lot of cases, being in practice 24 years, I would question that. And I would say, we're all low in something.
Yes.
Like, you wouldn't know what your selenium levels are like today. You wouldn't know what your molybdenum levels are like, or your zinc levels. So we worry about, the calcium and magnesium and iron and B12. We worry about your basics. But if most of us have deficiencies, or we're eating bad food, processed food, we're drinking too much alcohol, we have elevated cholesterol, some of those things people just don't know. And so you get sick, guess what happens?
Obviously, unless you have regular blood tests. I have one every 6 months. Is that a good thing?
That's a good thing, but that's just checking your basics. There are not great tests to check things like your vitamin A levels, and you can blood test zinc.
Can you ask for that?
You can, yeah, but your GP is not going to want to pay for those through Medicare, every 6 months. So, and this depends on what you've been eating, also your lifestyle. So there are integrative doctors that you can get to that will look at more of that, but you can do other things, hair tests and things, if you really want to be extensive. But I'd just be saying right now, to keep your immune system up, vitamin C, zinc and vitamin D up over 100. Watch the alcohol, watch the amount of toxicity, your chemicals, your coffee, just the toxic things we do, the takeaways, the amount of people doing Uber Eats and deliveries and things.
That really worries me, because I think, apart from anything else, it might taste good, but you don't necessarily know what's gone into that or how long.
But it's also highly processed in most cases, not always, but very salty, and it's not home prepared, and it often doesn't lack something like a Rogan Josh and rice has got no 5 vegetable, 10 vegetable in it. It's kind of protein and rice.
I know what you mean. But we'll be back to talk to Kimberly again in just a moment. There's so much to learn and so little time. We're back with Kimberly Douglas, and we've been talking about sort of the after effects as we start a new year of what's happened last year. And we were just talking about how important it is to get sunlight, and actually that little bit through our eyes, not just
through the skin.
The idea of tanning and being healthier with a tan, because you'll get sunburnt. But what other things have been happening to people? Not getting enough vitamins and minerals, not eating enough food. We were just talking about Uber Eats. Not there's anything wrong with that occasionally, but it's not a 7-night-a-week deal, really, is it?
No.
We need to know what we're eating and get it balanced.
Yeah, look, I think we've all been quite shaken with this. This is, we keep saying this word, uncharted territory. No one really knows in business and in health, what we're meant to be doing. Out of interest, probably the biggest thing that I've seen in the last 6 months is mental health is really taking its toll. I found a lot of my elderly clients are really scared. They don't understand. Probably the last time they've seen something like this has been the Great Depression. That they've come through. If they're old enough, and some of the wars and things, but they haven't seen anything like this. So they're scared. When we don't have our loved ones around us, when we don't have access to human contact.
Yes.
We are made to
together.
Touch and be together, have conversation and to touch.
It's true.
And so
not being able to touch people. I'm so sick of seeing politicians bumping elbows.
Yes.
Who ever thought of that stupid idea? I mean, surely there's another way. I accept not touching each other. I accept that completely, but it's okay.
So I think, people like our, and it's not just our oldies, we're all craving the touch, but just also that community. So we're saying when you don't get to see your grandbabies, or if you've been stuck in nursing homes with very little access.
Oh, very difficult that. My dear friend who's sadly gone now, but being able to see her regularly, as I had, to be cut down to once a week, and then maybe not because...
That's right.
And there was no way that we could visit. And when you know that their lifespan is shortening by the day, and you want to be there, very much so for both.
Absolutely. So I've seen that. I've also seen a lot of people who already have had mental health issues, so already had depression, already had anxiety, maybe has OCD. I have a lot of patients that already have germ problems, and they're fearful of those things. So when you add something like a pandemic pandemic on top of that, where we've got no experience, we've got no healthcare people trained to navigate people with mental health through this. We've seen people literally tanking their anxiety. I've been asking every one of my patients, so during this, I know you're coming to me for psoriasis or your bowel or headaches, but how are you going with your mental health with this? And without a doubt, there are people saying, I lost my job, or we've lost the mortgage, or I lost my mum, I couldn't get to the funeral. So we've got already people with mental health experiencing a heightened problem of mental health. Then the other thing that I've seen is our immune compromised people. So we've got people who are already going through chemo, in the middle of their chemotherapy, or in the middle of people who with shingles, people who are pregnant, people who have got
the girls, though.
Absolutely, but immune compromised, lupuses and things like that. We don't know how this pandemic plays out with that. So we're already, and there's been a fear thing in the media where if you've got this, you're a sitting duck.
Yes. And sitting duck is the way I think most people are feeling. I'm a bit of a the glass half full rather than half empty type of person. And I thought at the beginning of this, right, so if all of these things are happening around me, I've got to look after me, because if I don't look after me, I can't look after anybody else.
Sure.
So I made sure that I got home-cooked food, which I prepared myself. I had lots of vegetables and green vegetables and all those things.
I've trained you well.
Not a lot of meat. And I thought, and I did put on weight a little bit, but I did feel very healthy during this period, and I didn't go down the tube of, I'm so depressed. I think the other thing is, not everybody has a hobby or a thing they love to do. And so those things went by the wayside if they had an interest in something. Like if you're a sporty person and you're older, you couldn't go play bowls or tennis or whatever you would with friends.
Sure.
Those things, I think, have contributed a great deal. But at the same time, maybe you don't want to take up needlepoint or macrame anymore, but you could always bake bread, which everybody did.
Baking.
It would seem. But then you got to eat it, so that's not really the best. But what do you think, what's the best advice to give to somebody with their food intake?
So coming out of COVID thinking, I need to take some ground back, I need to drop some kilo, I need to probably get a bit of exercise going, things like that. So I would say don't try to change everything and just do, some people can do, I'm just going to do it cold turkey. I'm just going to start on Monday and it's usually gone by Wednesday. Last 2 or 3 days and then it's in the bin. So I'd say just try to go back to what you used to do. Remember, the first month, everyone thought this was a novelty. As bad as it was, everyone thought, I can handle this, Netflix, and I'm home and I'm Zoom calls. But now, we've now got to basically reverse our way out of it. So I would go back to just doing some exercise, just getting back to your Pilates class, getting back to the gym. Or walking. And you just have to do 30 to 40 minutes 3 or 4 times a week. So just get some exercise, because then you're going to get your D up again as well. So I'd start with that. Second of all, if you have to start somewhere, you've never dieted before and you're actually thinking, I put 3 kilo on, how did that work? How did that happen? You've got to randomly pick somewhere to start. Get rid of your snacks. That's the biggest thing. It's the snackos that get it every time. It's the mid-afternoon snack when the blood sugar goes down and you
11
need...
o'clock and 3:30.
Absolutely. And then it's the 9 o'clock at night when you're in the pantry with the crisps, the chocolates calling your name.
And before you go to bed, suddenly you're hungry again.
That's right. So if you literally went back down to getting your water up to 8 glasses a day, I'm going to do 3 meals a day, and if I need a snack, a handful of nuts and things like that, almonds, cashews, etc., and got rid of the snacks and did walking, within a couple of months, you're going to get those kilos off. If you then are like, oh dear, I really need to, maybe you might be in menopause, a bit older, and need to really, budget, you may need to drop your carbs down a little bit, get rid of the bakery items, the breads, the pastas, the starches.
It's the bread that's the killer.
It is, because everyone was baking bread and biscuits and then you eat them. So
I've discovered a bread I never knew before, and I can't stop eating it.
That's the problem.
But the bigger problem is I can't stop eating it with peanut paste on it, or
Yes.
jam and cream on it, or butter and Vegemite on it, or.
And that's what I'm saying. Just go back to your pre-COVID habits, because
I did that then. That's been the problem.
Oh, really? Okay. So maybe for everybody else listening, let's just go back to what you're doing before the 3 or 4
I'm
kilos.
just making a point.
I'm just going to take carbs away from you.
Yes,
just for a while.
dear. I wish I could. But you know, the comfort food is the other side of the depression, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And when it's another week and another week or another month.
I'll do it next week.
Yes. So yes, absolutely.
Have you stayed healthy?
Well, as I said, I planted a veggie patch. So while I was home for a while, I actually thought I was outside and I was at least doing something, some sort of project. So I actually quite enjoy that, but took supplements. I absolutely had all my family loaded up on their zinc, on their C, on their D. My teenage boys weren't that impressed, but I was like, guess what? You're in this family.
Mama said.
That's right. And, you know, obviously we've been pretty lucky here in South Australia, but we've all stayed well in that process.
The other thing is we're lucky here too, because most of us have a little bit of land, but we're not living, so many people in apartments here. But for the people in Melbourne in apartments, it's hard to get out if you're you know, living in a 12-storey apartment block.
Absolutely.
It's
and
an
with
effort.
with small children, you would literally be wanting, you know, no, it's not great.
A good friend of mine living in Melbourne is in an apartment block. He's relatively old and he's struggling to get up and down the stairs. And he was saying just how hard it is for him even to get out to shop, because there's no lift in the apartment block. He's got to rely on other people to help him down the stairs to the shops and so on. Everyone's been saying, oh, it's changed the way we live. Do you really think it will?
I do. I really do think. There are concerns that we won't go back to how we used to be, you know, with this human touch. I think we've all seen in the supermarkets people being a little more touchy and a little more scared and
they are.
apprehensive.
Shopping trolleys going the long way round. And I keep thinking, do I smell? What's wrong with me? And then I think, oh, no, it's because of that.
I hope we get back to touch.
Yes,
I hope we reach a point where we're not phobic about who's got a germ. You know, I know we're not talking pandemic, but we've gone through gastros and flus and things like that before. I think people's hygiene has definitely improved. I think this is more than anything. People have been hand washing, being aware of coughing and sneezing. Like, you don't want to cough when you're in Woolworths. No, you know, you don't want to cough at all. You'll be like not.
I suppose that's the idea. Right. It's been one of the, not the bumping, but the coughing into your elbow. It's actually been quite a good idea. And I've noticed that kids are using the hand stuff just as a matter of coming into a venue or a place.
So germ awareness is going to be so much better for our long-term outcomes for disease management and virus management and hospitals and things like that. So I think people are good with that.
Yeah, well, a friend of mine living in Melbourne who's been wearing the mask said, this is the first year I haven't got colds and all the other sniffles that I've normally got. So obviously that's working, but it's not working to everybody's happy ability. And we'll be back to be happy in a minute. We've had a wonderful discussion with Kimberly Douglas, one of our favourites on OurTime, and we haven't seen her for a couple of years, I think it is.
I think it might be. Yeah.
So tell me, we'll fix that this year. So tell me, what do you think we should be now putting in our brain for the future to stay strong and healthy?
Okay, so let's focus. We've got 6 weeks, you know, to do a bit of a recalibrate and really just start thinking about, don't just jump straight into something. Plan what you're going to do. So spend a little bit of time, 2, 4, 6 weeks, just planning out what exercise am I going to do? What do I need for my family? So you might be great already at exercise. So you don't have to go and suddenly do this all tomorrow. Plan some things out.
What about the kids? What about the grandparents?
Right. What are we already good at?
How can we do something
where
together?
are we missing? Where's our balance missing? The next thing is everything in moderation. Please stop Dr. Googling, okay? Because particularly in COVID, everybody has been Googling. So everybody knows everything about every diet and every radical thing. We take the reins back and say, let's just go back to everything in moderation.
And I think the other point to make is that the Googling stuff and the Facebook posts and all this stuff, so much of it's absolute rubbish.
Absolutely, and not scientifically proven.
No.
You know, let's go back to, we have common sense about eating and food. We know that doing an Uber Eats 7 nights a week is not good for us. We know eating half a loaf of bread with jam, cream and peanut butter is actually not that good for us.
Oh.
So common sense.
Who would do that? Who?
And I think we've got it on tape.
Oh, pity about that. Kimberly, we've got so much more we could talk about, but
Sure.
our time has run out. So you'll have to come back soon.
Absolutely.
And update us with a whole lot more. Our special guest has been Kimberly Douglas, who is a
Nutritionist.
There you go. Next time on Our Time, we'd love to have your company, so please join us then. Till then, keep yourself nice and we'll see you soon. Bye. Our special guest next time on Our Time is entertainer extraordinaire Michael Griffith. Michael, we're talking to you about your life and your career.
Yes.
Which is really what? How do you describe yourself?
Well, it used to be music theatre performer, and then if it was cabaret performer, but lately I just feel it's a bit like entertainer, because I feel like when people come to see a show, that's my job, is to entertain them.
And that's what we're talking to Michael about next time on Our Time. It's Michael, me, and hopefully you.